Now we're driving down alongside the southern display gardens, down towards bus stop number 2. You see on our left the garden bed there, the diversity garden. Narrow strips there if you wanted to count them. Each narrow strip represents a bioregion, and there are actually 83 out of the 89 bioregions represented there. And each one has an example of a plant that grows in the region. Now, there's only one flowering. There were 2 flowering until about a month ago. The hairy darling pea was actually a beautiful purpley flower for quite some time. It's just that grevillea flowering now. See the Queensland bottle trees, the young ones there just out to my left there, the Brachychiton rupestris. You see also contrast being used in the garden here between the mulches and the plants. It also shows you the different mulches you can use. So you can see woody mulches and pebbles and stones and gravel. Would be lovely to have some of that red sand at home as well, I reckon. Now on my left, the tree that's losing its leaves there is the white cedar. One of very few Australian native trees that loses its leaves. It looked absolutely stunning as it was changing colour a couple of months ago. Now that Brachychiton rupestris, the Queensland bottle tree I mentioned just before, that's also a tree, a native Australian plant, a tree that can lose its leaves sometimes. Maybe once every 3 years, or maybe it only loses half of its leaves. Now down on the left hand side, the water saving garden. See the watering cans. Australia being the second driest continent in the world, we need to be able to grow plants that are drought tolerant. So a lot of these plants here, well all of them there, they don't need watering like plants do generally. So that whole garden bed contains plants that you could choose from nurseries to grow at home. Sometimes we have little southern brown bandicoots running around here. Saw them more in the warmer weather, but I often find after people have been picnicking, they come out late in the day and have a look around for crumbs. They have a pointed nose. They like to eat insects and fungi. Now out to the left there, the future garden. Those petri dishes, or those garden beds representing petri dishes, scientific dishes. Plants there, experimental. Plants that you would never have found in the wild, but you can actually now buy them from nurseries. The trees on our left, the beautiful mulch around the trees there, just freshly lain I think in the last week. Still smell it, beautiful. Those trees, there should be 244 of them, roughly, through that area. They're Angophora costata, otherwise they're commonly known as smooth-barked apple, related to eucalypts. With a few differences, and another one of those differences is that their leaves are opposite each other on a stem, whereas the eucalypt leaves are alternate. The kids' backyard playground coming up here. Kids often, we have a lot of school functions and things, kids come in here, they love playing on that Hortosaurus, the big wooden monster there. Designed for them to use their imagination. That red slide at the top end here of it is its tongue. Again, bus stop 2, and this is a more open area, designed to be a riverwalk promenade here, toilet block and a covered seating area down there. The bend in the river is here, and the trees growing here will grow a lot bigger. They're Tristania lorina, otherwise called Botanical canuka. Now they're growing down here. They actually have pale, smooth trunks as well. They'll complement those Angophoras that we've come past just before. And they're growing down here also because they don't mind getting wet feet, and the groundwater table here is closer to the surface. Now as you move off here, the amphitheatre is on the left. Seating there, 150 people can sit in there quite comfortably. When we had the weddings in the summer, people had to use umbrellas. It was so hot. We had a very hot summer here. Behind the amphitheatre on the left there's another garden bed with rows of plants on display. It's called the cultivar garden, and that actually displays newer varieties of cultivated plants. You can source them from nurseries and grow them at home. The research garden coming up here on the left behind the netting fence. Lots of plants in there being put through different testings, and including the the native daisies that were collected from all over Australia, and they're being tested to see how they might like something like climate change. The heat pads under the soil to increase the temperature by 4 degrees. On our right, the row of wattle. I like to point those out because they're looking pretty good. Barrier range wattle. There was another one out a few weeks ago. It seems to have died off now. Coming up again towards bus stop number 3. To the left you can access Howson Hill up there. Named after Peter Howson, a politician. Viewing platform up there. You get a look over the waterways of the gardens, weird and wonderful, and the Melaleuca spits. And there's some rare and endangered plants up there. One of them being the West Australian Christmas tree, the Noitsia floribunda, that was planted in 1980. Now this is the arbour garden here. I'll move off here and I'll tell you about it. Standard brevilleas, looking absolutely stunning. Some banksias that have finished flowering. Some kangaroo paw. Got some New Holland honeyeaters flying around here. And a display of native climbers growing up the trellises, showing you can do that, grow things that way at home as well. They're absolutely stunning. There's about 20 species of native climber here. Now just coming up to my right, there's a little plant here, still with some flowers on it, the dwarf bottle brush. It's just about finished its time now, but there's still a few flowers remaining on that. Here the Melaleuca spits. So we have villages starting in, maybe in the centre of Australia. They come across the inland plains and over the hills down to the coast. River mouths. Coastal estuaries, somewhere like if you've been to Tidal River or south of Puridan, or it could be anywhere else. Got the sandbars. You have coastal grasses and pigface. On our right, we've also got some interesting plants there, that contrast beautifully against the stones. One of them is a spidery looking plant. It doesn't have many flowers left on it now, the Scaevola candulaceae, otherwise called June fanflower. There's a little mauvey purple flower. Now looking up to the front left, the vertical rocks over there, part of the Weird and Wonderful garden. The heaviest of those rocks weighs the same as a fire truck. Imagine bringing them in here. A lot of rocks up there, and a lot of very interesting plants to be seen. One of the there's Queensland bottle trees up there. One of them has been relocated from a property in northern Victoria, where its roots were destroying the foundation of a house, and the people wanted it removed. So it came here, and it seems to be quite happy to live here. Looking out further to the left to see the waterfall. the rock pool waterway over there. The escarpment wall, representing an escarpment somewhere, could be Kakadu or Central Australia. I reckon that one has to be Kings Canyon, because if you look at it, it's got a sand dune behind it. Now I also like to remind people this Australian garden, it covers 15 hectares, and we also have other areas outside of here, walking tracks and bushland, picnic areas, play areas, come to a total of 363 hectares. This area here was opened up last year in October, and the Red Sand Garden area was 2006. And it did actually open to the public in 1989 as a bushland with walking tracks and picnic areas. The theme of this Australian garden is the journey of water as it passes through our continent and has created our landscape. On our left hand side, down below us there, the seaside garden, plants that will grow in coastal areas. Those posts along there you see down on the left represent groins, which you'd see maybe around the coast somewhere to help prevent the erosion of the sand. On our right, those beautiful trees there, the Hills Weeping Fig Tree. They actually, during summer, you had a lot of people sitting under them in the shade having their picnic lunch. They'll eventually form a canopy of shade and shelter. Ooh, you got it. So they will eventually form a canopy of shade and shelter, and a lot more shade for next summer, I reckon. Now on our left hand side, the Northern Display Gardens. So these days the building blocks here, you don't get much space for a garden. Shows you what you can do in a smaller backyard. You've got a courtyard. Some really interesting plants there. Photos on the wall out to my left of Aussie backyards from the past, worth having a look at. Even I can relate to those. The screens there, all the way along here, representing the garden areas. Lots of pictures and things to be seen in those screens. And up ahead, bus stop 4. Garden shed on our right. Garden ambassadors are here until about 3 o'clock. They wear the red jumpers and they can answer your gardening questions. The kiosk is up front here, open for refreshments and toilets. Hello there. Good. Oh, that looks nice, that ice cream. Yum. Garden shed? Right up there.
Where?
Up there.
Straight up there.
Yep, that's it. See the bend in the red jumper?
Oh, that little one there?
Yeah.
Right, okay, thank you.
No worries.
Righto, thank you.
That's fine. So on our left hand side, the how to do it garden. If you want to know how to do something, plant plants or something like that. Also some natives on display there, native plants that can have another use. We try to encourage people to grow natives now, not only for their beauty, but also because you can use parts of them in your cooking sometimes. Elizabeth Murdoch Promenade here, we're driving along now. The lake, the ducks have just arrived on the right, and the grassed area over there. It's available to do whatever you like on, really. The Empire Lakeside Precinct. Northern Display Gardens again here. Some interesting plants. Probably a less formal style of yard, that one on the left there. The next one would probably be a little more formal, perhaps. And the greening city's garden out to my left here. Once again, with less space, you can still enjoy plants. Those snow gums in the middle have recently been trimmed, they're being exfoliated. Colours of those are just beautiful, the green and the white and the red. The lily pad footpath on our right, you can walk across the water there to the Gondwana garden over on the hill. Eventually become a canopy, a rainforest canopy. There's plants over there that would have been eaten many millions of years ago by dinosaurs. We've got the cycads and Antarctic beech and Wollemi pine, for example. Beautiful tea tree lining the banks here as we go across the bridge on either side of us, that Leptospermum morrisoni, which I believe has a yellowy cream flower when it flowers. Bus stop number 5 just here, footpath out to the left to the weird and wonderful garden, also to the Gibson Hill lookout which gives you a 360-degree view, or you can go down that pathway to the right to the Gondwana garden. Yep, no worries.
That's it, we've had enough.
Had enough, alright. Fine. So, continuing on.
ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਬੇਵਕੂਫੀ ਦਾ ਕਿਨਾਰਾ ਦੇਖ ਲਿਆ ਨਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਗਏ ਸੀ ਘੁੰਮਣ ਮਾਊਂਟ ਲੇਕ ਮਾਊਂਟੇਨ ਐਵੇਂ ਦੇਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਸੌਖਾ
As we go through these walls, or between these walls, we've got the ancient plants Gondwana on our right. It's a bit like here the separation of Australia from Antarctica 33 million years ago. We drifted northwards and a drier, warmer continent. Our plants had to adapt. So now we're heading off into the eucalyptus gardens, the woodlands. So this is the Scribbly Path garden here. Scribbly pathways there. Kids like to run around on. Scribbly gums growing in the garden bed as well. Now up ahead of us we have another bus stop which is number 6. Up here I'll stop just a bit past it where it's a bit flatter. And we've got pathways to the left that will take you to the arid garden and also the Desert Discovery Camp for kids or the dry riverbed from here. You can also go to Gibson Hill and look out. Just going to stop here. I like to stop here in the stringy bark garden so you can look at the grass trees that are on either side of us. So on our right, the Xanthorrhea australis. Down the left hand side as well, we've got some more of them. One down there estimated to be 400 years old. Now just out to my left here, there's a eucalyptus tree. You'll see it as we go by. That's called Eucalyptus obliqua. Now that one, it was back in 1770. One of Captain Cook's botanists took a piece from a place in southeastern Tassie. took it back to the UK. Eventually they described it as a Eucalyptus obliqua because of the shape of its leaf. So that was the first eucalyptus to ever be described. Well, that's an ancestor of the first, I should say. Bloodwood garden here, the bloodwood trees, spotted gums, tough wood I think used for making furniture. Now this is the box gum garden. The box gums here, they would have grown often around gold mining areas. The wood would have been used to build the shafts of gold mines. A lot of plants growing through here between the rocks. These rocks are Mansfield mudstone dating back to Devonian times, 400 million years ago. Out on my left is a memorial to Kevin Taylor, one of the landscape architects, and the firm Taylor Quality Lefleyan. And Paul Thompson was the plant designer of this Australian garden. The dry river bed over there on the left hand side. I always say it's worth a walk through there. You can't actually see the plants very well in the bus. Hi there. A lot of little plants through this ironbark garden. Little grevilleas and golden billy buttons flowering. And wattles starting to appear.
Having a video, very clever.
And you've got the red sand garden out to the... But just out to my left is also a little plant there, just close to me here. It's called a coastal rose or a native rose. It's called a Diploina grandiflora. It's quite a pretty little one. It's been flowering now for a couple of months.